I mean, it beggars belief, this, doesn't it? I mean, this has been the single biggest number of people that have come over in any given year. I think we're now looking at somewhere approaching 30,000. Possibly it will be 40,000 by the time we get to the end of the year. I mean, it's unbelievable. Why can we not do something about it?
Well, I think it started with a finger in the dike, Mike, a couple of years ago, and I'm afraid that the barriers are breaking now. People are realising that this route is viable. I understand that things are really not that smooth out on the channel.
Uh,
People are still coming across, though they're putting lives at risk. The border force is struggling to pick up these numbers.
yeah.
People are being sick on board. They're arriving in very poor conditions, Mike. There's
Mm,
nowhere to put them. Tughaven is only a temporary facility.
yeah.
It's a pretty awful scenario. And it reminds me, Mike, of my time, 20 years ago when we had a similar influx across the channel coming on ferries. In those days, they were literally camping on the streets of Dover. And
Yeah.
we found ourselves with a problem that's still, taken a great many years to fix
Right.
with infrastructure capability to manage. It's horrendous.
Well, it really is. I mean, my understanding of the child services in Dover and in that part of southeast Kent, they're just literally overwhelmed. They're overrun. They have been for a long time. And we don't even really know, Tony, do we, where a lot of these people are ending up. I know from personal experience of people that talk to me who live down there that there's an awful lot of people arriving that we don't even count because they're literally getting off a boat, walking into the town under their own steam. No border force in tow, no RNLI, nothing. They're just landing in places like Dungeness, landing in places like Bexhill, landing in other parts of the southeast coast, which are not patrolled particularly.
Well, that's right. I mean, and when we do pick them up, if we do pick them up, Mike, the infrastructure isn't there, I'm afraid, to be able to accommodate them and to feed them through into what is a system that the government has already recognised to be broken. And so there are vast numbers of people coming into this country. We haven't had a proper opportunity to screen them all. And to be frank, I'm not sure we know where they all are or where they're all going. So it is really a
Mm.
mess. And we really must try to stop the boats, as we've said before, Mike, but it takes two to tango. And I'm afraid the French are not coming to the dance floor at the moment with us,
No,
as I understand
I
it. They
mean,
are refusing to discuss a safe third country agreement, which is perfectly achievable in
mm,
international law. It's something I've been advocating for 2 years now. And my understanding, though, is that the French simply won't discuss that. They're happy to work on the beaches, to do what they can on land, but they will not engage in returns. And that is the crux of the matter, Mike.
yes, and it looks as though Whitehall is starting to leak to that effect, saying that the French are basically not doing their part. They're ceding sovereign territory to people smugglers. They're allowing these operations to go ahead. I mean, it was pointed out to me last week when they sort of impounded that British trawler that the French seem capable of stopping a fishing boat if they want to, but they can't seem to stop any of the dinghies leaving their shores.
Yeah, well, so we're conflating international law with political issues here, Mike, but
Yeah.
there is no question. I've been in this business for a great many years, far more years than I care to remember. There is no reason at all in international law why we cannot come to a bilateral agreement with France on joint patrols and returns. That's permissible under
Mm.
the UN Convention of the Law of the Sea. People do not fear persecution in France. Mike, it is a safe country. They have their own asylum system, but the EU has its own migratory problems,
Yeah.
and they are being conflated into all kinds of things, as you say, like fishing, Brexit, Northern Ireland, to a political level
Mm.
where the government cannot return people simply because there's an intransigence on behalf of the other party to take them back.
Yeah.
That's a political issue that could be fixed with political agreement. And I think it's the political leaders that are the ones that should be challenged
Right.
on this, not our own, not just our own, because I think our own are trying, Mike. I really do. But I think the French need to be held to account on what is their position on this and what are they going to do to help us save lives.
Right. But all you've got to do as well is cast your eyes slightly further east to the Belarus-Poland border, Tony, where you can see hordes and hordes of people trying to get into Poland because they know once they're in the EU, they can basically travel freely across it, get themselves to France, and inevitably get themselves to Dover.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. It's hypocritical, isn't it, of the EU? Because, we are seeing troops amassed along the Polish border police, stopping people getting into the EU through that route. We've got a Greece, agreement with Turkey that people coming across the Mediterranean are being stopped from getting in that way. We got the same thing at the other side of the EU, which is completely in reverse, and they're refusing to take people back when that's precisely what they're doing on their eastern front. So it is hypocritical of the EU. But we need to let's get back to humanity. Mike. This is organised international crime. Lots of criminals, they care nothing for
Right.
human life. They're making millions and they will make millions more, and they are laughing at the establishment at the moment
Yeah.
because we're just simply fueling the supply chains and creating misery. And Mike, sadly, more people are going to die.
Yeah.
People are going to drown. And we have a duty, I think, between two civilized countries, the UK and France, founder members of the 51 Convention on Refugees, to sit down and work this out.
Yeah, absolutely right. Tony, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Former head of UK Border Force, Tony Smith there. How about